Welcome to Knockin' Taste Buds. Today we're going to be making air fryer mini meatballs which are packed with flavors. For this we're going to be heating up 1 tablespoon of sesame seed oil. You'll see that I use a lot of sesame seed oil in my cooking, but you can use whatever oil you prefer. Once the oil is heated, add ½ cup of chopped red onions. You can also use white onions as well. Now add 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Now let's saute the onions and garlic until the onions become nice and transparent. Once the onion becomes transparent, now we can add ½ teaspoon chili flakes. We can turn off the stove for this because all we need to do is just add in the chili flakes. It'll get cooked once the meatball is cooking, so this way you don't want to burn the chili flakes since it burns really easily. Now let's just set this aside and we'll get all the other ingredients ready. In a bowl, add 1/4 cup breadcrumbs, 1/8 cup milk, 1/4 cup Parmesan cheese or some sort of cheese powder. Now we're going to be getting all the spices ready for this. In a mortar and pestle, we're going to grind ½ teaspoons of cumin, ½ teaspoons of black peppercorn, ½ teaspoons of fennel. Now let's grind everything to a fine powder. I always like to use the fresh spices because I find that it adds so much more flavor to the food. Now let's add the ground up spices to the Parmesan cheese and breadcrumb mix. Now let's add all the herbs to the mix. We're adding 1/4 teaspoon thyme. You can add whatever herbs you like to add. 1/4 teaspoon rosemary and 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. And what I do is usually whenever I buy the herbs, I find that it's a lot and you're only using a little bit in an ingredient. So instead of throwing it out and wasting it all, I usually just dry it and keep it, just cut it usually into a smaller piece and keep it in a bottle. So this way I can always use it for other recipes that I'm making, and it always tastes the same. Now add 1 teaspoon Dijon mustard, ½ teaspoon salt. Now add the sauteed onion, garlic and chili flakes mixed to this. Now mix this really well with hand until it's all mixed well together, so we're not overworking the meat when we're adding this into the ground meat. Today we're going to be using 1 pound of ground pork, and let's add all the spices and all the mix-ins that we had ready for the meat and mix them all really well together. Now let's start making the meatballs now. Just keep some water in a bowl so then you can dip your fingers and it's easier and it comes out nice and smooth and not sticky on your fingers. Usually like to make them to be nice and small because then I find that it absorbs all the sauces better and the flavor goes through it well and it tastes really good. And when you make the meatballs to be smaller too, it doesn't take a whole lot of time to cook it in the sauce because since it's small, it absorbs all the sauce and the flavors faster than the larger meatballs. And with the 1 pound of ground pork, I usually get about 40 meatballs. Today we're going to be using the air fryer to fry our meatballs in, but you can also use the stove top as well. It's the same thing as long as it's cooked through well. As I said before, since these are mini meatballs, it doesn't take very long to cook. First we're going to cook the meatballs in the air fryer without the middle portion for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, add the middle portion and then cook for another 5 minutes. While the meatballs are cooking, let's get the sauce ready. For that, we're going to be pureeing ½ cup of sweet peppers, 2 cups tomatoes. Now puree it really well and keep it aside. Now let's get the sauce ready. For this, we're going to be heating up 1 tablespoon sesame seed oil. Once oil is heated, add 1/8 cup of diced garlic, 1 cup of diced onion. Saute for about 2 minutes. Add 1 bay leaf, 1/4 teaspoon oregano. As I mentioned before, you can always switch up the herbs and add whatever herbs that you have on hand. 1/4 teaspoon rosemary, 1/4 teaspoon savory, half teaspoon chili flakes, half teaspoon black pepper powder, half cup red wine, half tablespoon salt, but always add salt according to your taste. So mix this well and let this all cook down until pretty much all of the liquid has evaporated. Once the liquid is pretty much evaporated and reduced down, add the tomato puree that we had ready, 1 cup low sodium chicken stock, 1 cup pasta sauce. Now let's mix it all up really well and cook this covered on low to medium until the sauce starts to boil. Once the sauce starts to boil, we can add the fried meatballs. Now mix it all up really well, and as you can see, this sauce is pretty watery right now, so cover it up and cook it on low to medium heat until the desired thickness of the sauce. Now we can see this sauce is boiling really well, and it has cooked down much more than what we started with. It's been about good 15 minutes or so on low to medium heat, and we can see the meatballs have taken up all the liquid from the sauce and became nice and tender. So at this point we can turn it off, or if you like to be more thicker with the sauce, then you can always let it boil for another few minutes until your desired thickness. And we are going to serve this today with spaghetti. You can have it with spaghetti or any sort of pasta you like, or even make meatball subs with nice crusty bread. It tastes really yummy. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's recipe. Thank you so much for coming over to Knockin' Taste Buds, and hope to see you on another wonderful recipe. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and comment below. Thank you very much.